Hi, I'm Sarah with Custom Pilates and Yoga, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to use your Orb Extreme Orb Roller. So the first thing I like to start off with is the glute. Now the glute is that big butt muscle, okay? So when you're rolling the glute, you can do that whole area. Everything in there is game. And then when you feel like you've got that released, you're gonna roll your orb to like the divot of the back of your hip. Now you're gonna rotate slightly and you will feel it most likely. This muscle here that we've got is called the piriformis. To get really deeply into that, you can shift back and forth with this little bit of rotation here, and you can let your bottom leg open and then let it close on up. Just a heads up, this can be really intense, so make sure, take breaks if you need to. And then after I have my glutes and my piriformis done, I move on to my hamstring. Now when I roll, I try to touch my orb as little as possible because I want it to have continuity. I want it to be able to work down the muscle. Now for me, when I do my hamstrings, I like to strum them. So I'll open my leg to the side, bring it back toward the midline, maybe even past. I might even add some rotation in here to try to get more of the muscles opened up. And then you can move this down. For the sake of time, I'm just gonna go move it manually here. And you want to make sure you do your hamstrings, you roll all the way down to just above the knee joint. Do not ever roll the back of your knee. Now, the next spot I like to do is the calf. So you'll bring the ball on down, start off here with just your normal calf, knee facing up to the ceiling, and you can do strumming here. And as you go open to the side, you're gonna feel the orb roll past some tissue and the edge of several muscles. And that's a pretty new experience. We don't normally get massages for the outside edge of our calf muscles, okay? So I like to keep my knees straight up first, because what I like to do to intensify and go after it is I'll come back to center, I'll rotate open from the hip, and that helps me get a little bit deeper. And then I might just shift small side-to-side movements to really work on that edge. And once again, when it's good, I'll scoot back to let myself work all the way down the calf. Good, and when I roll, I like to go all the way down that back of the Achilles tendon so that I end up right down here. For me, by the time I get down to the end, it doesn't really feel like a whole lot. So you put a little bit of bend in your knee to make sure you don't hyperextend. Cross your other leg on top, and that gives you just a little bit of extra weight to help you really dig in and get those tough spots that you're looking for. All right, so now after you have rolled the backs of your legs, I like to flip over and roll the fronts of mine. This is a little bit tricky to do the quads, and you can do your own way if you like. If you have a different way that works better for you, feel free to use that. But here's what I do. I start off on my stomach and I place the ball really high up on my thigh. Now it's just past my hip, okay? So it's not to my hip socket, it's just below that. It is totally located on my thigh. I press the floor away with my upper body, I stabilize with my non-working leg, and then I let that working leg swing in and out to get the strum. Then I sort of will army crawl my way down the mat. So I shift with my arms, I let my non-working leg help me too. And you end up going down. Again, you want to roll just to that spot right above the knee. You don't obviously want to roll your kneecap. to get your inner thighs. You're also going to come onto your stomach and bring your leg out on about a 45-degree angle. So in this spot here, when my knee comes out on that angle, and I'm gonna bring my ankle in line with the knee, it creates a space here at my inner thigh. And I'm gonna start with the orb up there. Now it should be, you move just past the hip, you get that ball on your thigh, not your crotch, not your groin, get it on your thigh, then you wanna square yourself back up. As you do this, you should feel pressure into a muscle. You might even feel some stretch here. And then for this one, as you move, we're moving on a diagonal line. So you're gonna kind of scoot up and over to the left. For me right now, I've got the ball right here in my right inner thigh. So I'm moving up into the left. When I do this for my left side, I will scoot up into the right, okay? And we move this way so that the ball can keep rolling down the thigh in this same line, because we get more benefit from our roll if the ball can just stay in the same path, moving down the muscle. Once again, you're gonna roll on down until that ball comes right beside your knee, maybe just right above that knee joint, and then you will release. Next, I like to flip over onto my back and get some tight spots. Now you can start off by doing your whole spine. So if you were doing your whole spine, you'd come to the end of your mat down here, lift up, place the ball here. Now you're gonna want some help from your hands. Make sure, do not let your vertebrae go on this ball. And you can work on just sort of relaxing over the ball here to get a good stretch for the neck. If you do not have long hair, if your long hair is secured, you can even get that Orb Extreme up in the curve of your neck and move and get some of those tight muscles worked out. It's a little bit trickier when your hair is mid-length and gets yanked. And here in this position, I've got that ball right between the shoulder blade and my spine. And you can take however long you want when you do this. I'm kind of going quickly for the sake of time here, but you can roll on down the spine. When you get to the bottom of your rib cage, this is one of my favorites. So the ball goes up at the bottom rib. Now we're kind of in this void, right? We're in this space where there's no bone except for the spine, and it's just a couple of inches until we get to the top of the hip. And so I like to roll this space. I get in this spot here, and then I might rotate my hips and my torso to kind of let that ball scoot out toward the side part of my waist, and then come back in, and I can really feel that. This is a great way to get at some of the oblique muscles that really don't get a whole lot of massage in life. And then you want to make sure with this, do get that ball up by the top of your hip. There is a whole lot of tightness that happens up at the very top of the pelvis. And so you want to do that same movement. You want to put a little bit of rotation in there. And you just want to feel yourself soften over the ball. Good, and then I'm gonna release this. Now, I have one last exercise that I like to do with the ball, and that requires me to go grab a chair. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my chair and I've got my Orb Extreme, and this next exercise is a little bit non-traditional. You're gonna scoot forward here on your chair. We've got our legs bent, this one's supportive, and you're gonna lift up, place the orb just past your sits bone. So it's closer it's on the femur, not like right on your tailbone. And you're gonna kind of shift back and forth. And you might feel like a little kind of click, and that's okay. Now what we want to do is we want to get that ball right toward the inside of the thigh, but close up toward the hip. And then we're, gonna let the knee drop in on the working leg, and then it opens out. We're working on getting the deep lateral rotators of the hip, okay? So we're in this position, and when we turn our leg medially, which is the opposite that they would do, the opposite work they would do, then it makes it like a double stretch. And just do a few of these and make sure, come on back to neutral before you move on. You might even be able to shift and find some juicy spot up in your upper thigh that's maybe part of your inner thigh tightness. And same thing, rotate into it and release. And that'll help loosen that up. Always, always do both sides. So any orb exercises that you like to do, make sure you do the same to the right side as you do to the left, and vice versa, depending on where you started. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And for more information on the orb, you can find me at www.custompilatesandyoga.com. Thank you.